This is an introduction to one of the Caribbean's most important literary exponents with excerpts from In Another Place, Not Here. I'm actually reading this on behalf of my friend who couldn't be here today. So if you have any questions, I can give you his email address. Grace is grace, yes? And I take it quiet like teeth and sugar. From the words she speaks to me and the sweat running down she in that sun one afternoon, and as I look up saying to myself, how many more days these poor feet of mine can take this field? These blades of cane like a razor, this sun like coal pot. Long as you have to eat here. I look up, the woman like a drink of cool water. The 4 o'clock light, thin and she dress. She back, good and strong. The sweat raining off in that moment when I look and she snap her head around, that mouth wide, blowing a wave of tiredness away, pulling in one big breath of air. Them big white teeth. She falling to the work again. She fall into the 4 o'clock sun. I see she hot, cool, and wet. Will was surer than anything I see before. Surer than the day I get born, because nothing ever happened to me till Will came along. And when Will come along, I see my chance out of what ordinary. Out of the plenty day when all it have for a woman to do is lie down and let a man beat against she body and work cane and chop up she foot and make children and choke on the dryness in she chest and have only one road in and the same road out and know that she tied to the ground and can never lift it up. And it wasn't nothing Will do or say or even what Will was or what Will wanted, because even now I can't swear, but it's just that I see Will coming, like a shower of rain coming that could just wash me cool, and that was sufficient. And if God spite me for this, it's so things is. I abandoned everything for Vulia. I sink in Vulia, and I let she flesh swallow me up. I devour she. She opened me up like any morning, limp, and a rain light, soft to the marrow. She made me wet. She tongue scorching like hot sun. I love that shudder between her legs. Love the plain wash and see of her, the smell and bloom of her softness, and is all. And if it's all I could do on earth is all. She would say, open your eyes, I want to see what you're feeling. I don't know what she see in my eyes, but she's staring into me until I break. Her look say, Elisette, you is bigger than me by millennia, and you can hold me between your legs like rock cold water. You are wearing me away like years, and I wonder if you can see me beyond rock and beyond water as something human that needs to eat and can die. Even as you dive into me today like a fish and want nothing, or so you say. Something say to me, Elisette, you is not big enough for nothing. You have done live, and Vulia is your grace. That's an excerpt from the opening chapter of In Another Place. Is one of the most important writers in contemporary Caribbean literature. She picks up the mantle of the post-colonial establishment of a new Caribbean literary culture that embodies our shared history of migration, displacement, and rebellion from the likes of Derek Walcott and Edward Campbell Braffett. She was born in Guayari, Trinidad, and emigrated to Canada at the age of 17. As a Canadian writer, she has garnered numerous awards and tremendous prestige for her fierce, visceral, and enigmatic words. Despite flying her craft overseas, however, much of her work is grounded in her experiences in the Caribbean and is deeply rooted in its history. A Marxist and feminist, much of Brand's work underlines her sense that writing is not just art, but a radical political activity, an essential tenet of the strife for radical democracy. In particular, her struggle to reclaim the female body and female sexuality from the masculine heteronormative colonization of previous centuries of tradition have made her an important herald of the plights of minority women that endure even in contemporary times. Her 1990 poetry collection, No Language is Neutral, was important for several reasons. Not only did it give her international literary recognition, but it announced her as an author willing to tackle the difficult gender and sexual issues of a regional culture that still saw those things as heavily taboo. She accomplished this with stark, piercing, and emotionally charged poetry that stirred readers and reviewers alike. Fiery and sensuous words in this following excerpt. History will only hear you if you give birth to a woman who smooths starched linen in the wardrobe drawer, trembles when she walks, and who gives birth to another woman who cries near a river and who vanishes, and who gives birth to a woman who is a poet, and even then it is still simple. It is this simple. I felt the unordinary romance of women who love women for the first time. It burst in my mouth. Someone said, "This is your first lover. You will never want to leave her." Brand spent several years in Grenada and was a part of the People's Revolutionary Government of Grenada during the revolutionary period. And much of her work was born out of these incredibly emotional and torturous experiences. Her novel, In Another Place Not Here, from which the opening excerpts were taken, explores the tribulations of the love between two women, Velia and Elisette, as they struggle through life, first in revolutionary Grenada and then as new immigrants to Toronto. The novel sees Brand embark on a project of unfixing the field. Velia, the main protagonist, is flooded with Brand's liquid imaginary that radically resituates her sense of identity as a black lesbian and as a socialist revolutionary. In Another Place Not Here, as Simon Bertaco so eloquently put, brings forward Brand's understanding of the political import of her lesbian writing in that project of rewriting history that she puts into practice cannot but imply by default also a revision of the history of sexuality. Pamela McCallum and Christian Olbe have stated that Brand does a wonderful job in this book of revealing the specific kind of codified racism whereby the specter of slavery continues to haunt the West Indies. The real beauty of Brand's work in Another Place Not Here, however, is that she manages to explore such dense ideological material while maintaining the lyrical majesty that has always been a hallmark of her work and ignites the fires of romance that burn ferociously throughout the story. Throughout the course of events in the book, we never lose sense of Velia and Lizette's fierce passion for each other. Brand's evocative writing allows us to feel their insecurities, their fears, and their passion as if they were our own. In Another Place Not Here is a masterpiece from a writer whose political engagement with her work is complemented by the impassioned words themselves. It is surely an important piece of work in the history of the advancement of racial and sexual equality in the Caribbean diasporic people. Thank you.